Yes, welcome to the Air Raid. We are back. This episode brought to you by HBF Health Insurance. Make the trade and join HBF, your health dream team. The siren, the Air Raid siren, whatever you want to call it. Mitch and I get to talk about something footy.
It's the podcast the players listen to.
Yes, as we heard from Zach Merritt on your morning walk with Baxter. What was Zach's dog's name?
I didn't get the name, actually.
Always good to get the name of the pups.
Do you ever have scenarios where you know in the park where you know people's dogs' names but not the owner's name?
Yeah, I actually have a notes section on my phone where I write down. I always remember the dogs, but I always forget the people.
Yeah.
So I write down, Baxter, owner Mitch. And then I see them coming from ages away and I quickly go to my phone. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You start, because I think it's going to be a similar topic.
Okay. So on the debate of opening round, and there's been a huge, or from my perspective, a huge backlash here in Victoria this year. Obviously the 2 games instead of 4 increasing that level of criticism around how flat it was.
Yep.
I just wanted to, look, and far be it for me to defend the AFL here, right? But I'm a Victorian like a lot of our listeners. I would prefer, as a footy fan, that Richmond Carlton just starts the season every single year. But in the last 12 months, I've really come around to this thinking that we are a national game. I know that people think that we're following rugby league, and to a degree, I think that we chase them a little bit too much. Rugby league isn't a national game. Like, it's basically 2 states.
Storm get decent crowds.
No, they do, and I'm not disregarding the Storm. I'm saying, but they don't really want to be national. We are striving to be national.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, the northern markets for the AFL are very, very difficult to break into. The Sydney Swans are hugely successful, but it took the best part of 3 decades in order to get that way. The Giants on the field have been very successful comparatively to, say, the Gold Coast Suns, and yet they can't attract huge crowds to Western Sydney. So it is incumbent, and I applaud the AFL's efforts for trying to put eyeballs on the northern markets.
Yep.
Now, I have listened to several suggestions in the last week. Well, opening round's been flat. Why don't we have a game in every state for opening round? So, like every week of footy. But there's a game in every state almost every week.
Yep.
So that would make it any different. The point is, so what I think has been lost is that people were saying, well, we should just spread it around. The whole point is that we don't want to spread it around. The whole point is we want everyone talking about Queensland. We want everyone talking about New South Wales because these are the most difficult markets. Every club that has been involved in opening round in the first 2 years has either had record membership in year 1 or after year 2, as in right now, have record membership going into the year.
Yeah.
The Sydney Swans, for the first time ever, have just sold out every corporate box at the SCG for the entire season. Andrew Prudhomme is going to have to create a wait list next year for corporate boxes. So every time you're a Victorian and you say to yourself, geez, I hate opening round because it makes it so flat, just remember it's not about you. I completely understand and I'm with you. I would selfishly like more games at the MCG because it helps me and it creates a better buzz.
Yeah.
Is there a buzz around Richmond Carlton this week that there has been in previous years? Probably not, but I would argue a large part of that is because Richmond look like they're going to be awful. So it feels like a flat game. We're here to grow the game as much as possible, and Rome wasn't built in a day. So I personally hope that the AFL continue with opening round because I think it's an important sacrifice that the game needs to make.
Yeah.
But I'm with every Victorian listening to this thinking, shit, I just really selfishly would like footy to start like it always has.
And I hate the air raid to be a kumbaya singing exercise, and we agree, but I'm largely with you. And this is back to my point with the grand final being moved for the twilight or the night slot. You and I, Scotty, everyone in this office who are born and bred Victorians who love footy and are watch regardless. The game is about attracting new audiences to Queensland, New South Wales. And if you're doing everything you can to work that way,
yep,
that's what the focus should be. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages everywhere in the AFL. Gather Round was set up with the view of spreading it around the country. Now, it's locked in at Adelaide. It is the best city for it, and it ain't going anywhere anytime soon. I think there was a world where the thought was, let's put it in Adelaide for the first 2 or 3 years, build it up, and we'll take it to New South Wales or take it to Queensland. But I can't see that happening. Perth have just recently got North Melbourne going over there. So you get Freo and West Coast have now got an extra home game each in the state. So that's a win for them. Victoria has the biggest win of all. The grand final's locked in here for the next 32, 33 years, and that ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So you've got WA ticked off, SA ticked off, Victoria ticked off. What are the northern states actually getting? Well, if we can give them opening round, then that feels like a fair alternative to me.
Totally.
Now, a good mate of mine, Corbin Middlemass, had a good idea, which I felt was actually interesting on the weekend, was if it's not opening round and they maybe feel like they move away from there, how about you go middle of the season and instead of spreading the buys over 3 or 4 weeks like we do now currently, have a 2 week. So you play 4 games in the first week, 5 games in the second week. In that first 4 weeks, you have a mini opening round. So you've got the 4 northern state markets. So you just put a shine a light, rather than having it as the first week, you shine a light on it for the middle of the season, put it around school holidays, allow Victorians to go up, a mini gather round in the northern states.
Yep.
That could be an alternative.
Yeah, around school holidays. I like that. Smart from
But the way opening round is set up right now, I don't mind it. It just felt like maybe with the Labor Day holiday we had yesterday in Victoria, being the Monday, we could have had a Sunday twilight or Sunday night game here, which would have really popped.
Yeah, but then you don't get the same eyeballs on.
But you can have.
So you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
and then Sunday Arvo,
Yeah.
in New South Wales, Queensland, and then you have a Sunday twilight. Yeah, I like that. So you could almost have Carlton Richmond as that game.
Yeah. Or Hawthorn Essendon.
Yep. I just hope that they stick with it. I hope it's not just 2 years and done because they fold to criticism.
Victorian fans are going to be shitty because there's no footy here, but we're going to watch anyway.
Yeah, and
We're
it's
still
an
gonna-
extra week. It's not as though they're being robbed of anything.
There's still going to be 75,000, 80,000 at the G for Richmond Carlton.
Okay, that's the air raid. Thanks to our great friends at HPF for not only being your health dream team, but for also making this episode possible. We'll see you next week.